Welcome back to Dan's Messy Garage. This is going to be part 8 of working on the 302 budget build. And today is finally going to be the start of the assembly. First thing I need to do though, check the lifter bores, make sure that they're not rusted or cracked and that the lifters slide in them, and get things cleaned up, and then figure out what's going to go in first. It's either going to be the cam or the crank, but I'll let you know when I do figure that out. Okay, I was starting to get ready to put the engine together, and I removed all the piston rings, and come to find out that there's still carbon behind these rings. So I have a broken piston ring here. I'm just going in there and scraping the carbon out. There's a couple areas that it doesn't want to come out easily. So I got the ultrasonic cleaner buzzing away in the background. Scrape it, plop it in there, grab the next one and scrape it. But I did check out all the lifter bores in the block. They're in good shape. I have each one of the lifters, it's all cleaned up, and they're all taken apart in bags here, soaking in oil. So I was going to put the crank in the block. I could do that and the cam. But the next step would be to put the pistons in. And I was actually surprised that this ringland still had carbon in it. You're probably wondering why I didn't pull the rings out to begin with. I guess I don't have a good answer for that. Should have. So I'm going to continue to do this. And when I get done with this, I'll slide the crank in the block. But I got to clean out these grooves. Well, that took an awful long time. I am regretting not pulling the rings out when I ultrasonic cleaned these pistons the first time. But I got all 8 of them clean. There's no carbon left in any of the ringlands. And now I'm going to start putting the crank in the block. My water pump came today. It's an aluminum water pump. A regular forward rotation or standard rotation. And the inlet is on the driver's side. Doing good there. I started to get things ready to put the crank in. First up, you got to put the bearing halves in the block. I already have these bolt holes cleaned out. Just took air, blew them out. I have all the main bolts in this bag, soaking in some oil. And let me grab the main bearings, stick them in the block. And at the same time we drop the crank in, we got to put this rear main seal on the crank. Now the bearings all have a little tang on them. See if I can show that to you. Right here, a little square thing sticking on the side there. That fits. I just kicked the tripod. That fits in a notch in the block. Just kind of shove them down in there. The center one is different. That has shoulders on each side of the bearing. Those act as the thrust surfaces to keep the crank centered in the block. Pop all these in there. Center one. Has these sides that go down and snap into the block to hold the crank in position. But this also has a little notch. Gotta line that notch up. Put the notch in the block. Push them down in there. Rod caps are all numbered. And there's arrows on them. Like the one I just picked up happens to be number 3 that goes here. And there's an arrow facing forward. All the caps are like that. You get this other half of the bearing and snap it into the cap. These little notches are not in the exact same positions. So they only go in like the other in the block. That notch was kind of more over here. So that they only go on one way. You can't mix this up. I'm just slapping that to get the bearing all the way up in there. Center one's tight. Set that there. Grab another cap. You'll grab 2 of them. The rear cap, big thing. That's where that big oil seal is going to fit in. I'll show you that when I get to it. This one's number 4. This one, of course, is the last one. 5. And get the other 2 out of the bag. And if you remember, one of the first parts I was cleaning up were these rod caps and the ultrasonic cleaner. After they were cleaned, they've been in Ziploc bags, staying clean. Because this garage is not real clean. All right, so let me snap this bearing in here. And you want to make sure that there's nothing in this bearing saddle where it goes. No grit, no grime, no chunks of anything. Just making sure that the bearing's in there all the way. You can tap these down too. But when you torque the crank down, it's going to push these against each other and keep them flat. All right, so this is the number 1. It has an arrow. 1 and the arrow facing that way. The arrow goes toward the front of the block. I'm going to shut up and just get this stuff put in position. You may have noticed I put those in dry. There's no oil behind them. That's the way I was taught And that's the way that I believe I read in some manuals about building engines how to do that. Now I'm going to get these out of the way because I'm going to pick the crank up, drop it in there, and I don't want to have to knock these on the floor. Now the crank I have sitting or standing on the floor, the very bottom where that oil seal goes. I put some grease on that. I'm going to oil up these journals a little bit. I'm going to put some oil in all those bearings and drop that crank in there. Get my oil can out. All right, pick it up and drop her in there. Okay, get some oil, journals, both sides of the thrust surfaces there. This back seal, I guess I'll bring you over there and show you that. That back oil seal goes in flush with the back of the block. Pop them caps on there. A little oil on the bearing. Drop that down. Let me get my torque wrench out. And we'll go through the torque sequence. I'm gonna wipe my hands off first here. I thought I hit record on the camera and it didn't. I got torque wrench set at 20-ish. I'm just gonna go and get them all to click there. Now these caps fit tight in the block on each side. There's like a journal or pressed area that they snap into. That keeps the caps from walking side to side. All right, you want to make sure that the crank turns each time you do this. All right, so I'm going to go up to 40. Get it to click. Okay, make sure it turns. Still does. That's good. Go to 60. Okay, I'll go to 70. Give them a double click at 70. Go back and check the first one. Good. Good. Okay, they're all checked. Still turns. We're in good shape. Now there's a test that you can do to measure how much the crank moves forward and backwards. I'm not even going to bother doing it. I mean, there's not a lot I can do to change it. It's there. It's in. It's spinning. So, is that the wrong way? Could be. I'm not like blueprinting this and building a super high RPM, high horsepower engine. Whatever that clearance is what it has, and that's what it's getting. It turns good, so good enough for me. I have the cam, my homemade cam installer tool. Thread that in there. I'm going to oil it up and slide it in. Now, I already put oil on the bearings in the block. I'm going to put some oil on each one of the lobes on the cam and each bearing on the cam. And the distributor gear, of course. Spread that around. Slide it in without banging everything up. Oh, no, there it goes. All right. It just needs a little persuasion. Get my cam tool out. Hands are all oily. Can't grab this. Got these two little bolts that hold the cam retainer plate on. I'm going to take them out of there. I got my alarm going off. Of course, my hands are a mess. Okay. I got to find the timing chain, the cam retainer plate, and all of that. Okay, this is the cam retaining plate. It has marked on the back and bottom. I'm going to put some oil on there. Oil on there. This engine's upside down. So it goes on just like this. Get my two little bolts. And I don't remember that torque spec. I'm going to have to pause you guys while I look that up. Okay, it's 10 foot-pounds with thread locker on there. So I got to pull those bolts out, put some thread locker on. Pull these out, but I'm going to use red Loctite. I got to wipe the oil off the bolt and the bolt hole. I'm using red Loctite on these bolts. I don't want them to come out. Okay, that's all there is to that. Next would be the timing chain. I have the timing chain soaking in oil. And, well, it's already after 8 o'clock. Day is flying by, folks. And my strength in my hands is fading fast. What I'm going to do, call this the end of part 8, working on the 302 budget build engine. Please come back for part 9 when I assemble more of the engine. And I'll start by doing the timing chain and fuel pump eccentric. Thanks for watching Dan's Messy Garage. Have a good evening. Bye.